Hi there and welcome to Digital Spy. My name's David and today we're going to be breaking down the biggest Easter egg references in I Am Not Okay With This. Netflix says the show is like if John Hughes made a superhero movie and they don't know the half of it. So let's get started with one of the best teen movies of all time, Heathers. In this 80s classic, Winona Ryder scrawls down all her teen angst in her diary and Sydney does the same on this show too. From the very first moments, she says, "Dear diary, go f*** yourself." In terms of style, I'm Not Okay With This is somewhat reminiscent of Sex Education and End of the World. None of these shows really pinpoint an exact time or place, and those comparisons to End of the World in particular make a lot of sense given that it's the same director and writer. From the VHS tapes and jukebox soundtrack to that sardonic voiceover narration, the similarities are very clear to see. However, the central dynamic between Sydney and Stan is never quite as edgy or interesting as the one seen between James and Alyssa in End of the World.
Take your top off.
I think I'm stuck. Do you think it's going to explode?
It's not a film.
Okay, now it's time for those John Hughes comparisons. Not only does Sophia Lillis resemble a young Molly Ringwald, in fact, there's one episode of the show later on that plays out almost exactly like The Breakfast Club, complete with detention hijinks and stereotypical teenage angst. On top of that, there's also a few hints of Pretty in Pink when it comes to the prom scene, but there's more on that later. One of the obvious highlights of the show is when Wyatt Oleff's character Stan gets ready in that crazy 80s montage. There's a whole bunch of 80s films this draws upon. You've got everything from A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 to Risky Business and even Ferris Bueller's Day Off, complete with those zany costumes. This isn't the first time that Wyatt's played a Stanley character either. As horror fans probably remember, he and Sophia Lillis were just recently in the It movies, both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. In It, Wyatt's character is known as Stanley Uris, but actually Sophia Lillis' character, Beverly Marsh, is also referenced a little bit too. From the very first episode, we see Sydney's character running through the streets. We don't know why, but she's covered in blood. And that reminds us quite a lot of that scene in It, where she's drenched in blood in the bathroom. And this is clearly more reminiscent of another classic Stephen King film, Carrie. So, between those psychic powers, the fatherless teenager, and just all that blood, this is Carrie all over. Except I Am Not Okay With This has a slightly more explosive ending at the prom. If anything, that explosive head scene is much more reminiscent of Scanners, a different psychic movie from the 80s, which is a little bit more gruesome. And when it comes to that final scene where Sid is confronted by a mysterious figure who is probably definitely her father, that takes the show even further away from the original graphic novel. In the graphic novel, Sid's father is definitely dead. He is not coming back, and in fact, Sid is the one who killed him. It's easy to see why Netflix didn't go down that same route, because where would season 2 go? And that's it for our Easter egg rundown. If you spotted any more film references that we missed, please let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.